One more thing here, David. Pat Riley got a statue, but not in Miami. He got one in Los Angeles. We're going to talk about it.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome back to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, thanks for making it your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang, become an everydayer, subscribe, tune in every day, Monday through Friday, and sign up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day. We got a couple more things that we want to talk about today. We just finished our live stream of the normal Monday morning podcast, recapping a winning weekend. Wins over Atlanta and Memphis. We had 20 credit cookies to give out. If you missed that, you can go check that out in your podcast feed for everybody tuning in a little bit later here as we stream live Monday morning on YouTube. We're getting into our bonus content portion of the morning. And David, we got some listener questions to get to. First of all, thanks to everybody who sent in questions for the post-game show. You could submit questions for post-game shows like this by joining the Everydayer Club. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. Let's start right off the bat with a couple more from the games, and then we'll get into this Pat Riley mess, David. Malachi writes in, is it a good thing that Bam is generating more double teams when he has the ball on offense or not? I feel like every time he got the ball against Memphis, it was an instant double team. How can we get Bam going offensively when he's double teamed that often? I don't care. If this is what he's, I really don't. I don't need, I'm not just a, you know me, I'm not just a look at the box score guy. 13 points, okay, whatever. 7 shots against, okay, whatever. But like we said, it opened up everything else for Miami offensively in that game. It is not a coincidence that Bam was also, despite the lower production, modest production, a team high plus 27 in that game. I care more about that and how the offense looked and performed overall way more than Bam. If Bam scores 13 points, but the Heat score 136 points, I'm taking that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we're kind of hung up on evaluating him through the lens of his contract and the level of protection that needs to be commensurate with that. But you know what? That's all ridiculous. It doesn't really matter. What ultimately translates is victories, and his production is still fine. And you know what? As long as he's contributing in all the other ways that he does, it doesn't have to be like, yeah, I get it. I think we've beaten that dead horse for too long now, and it doesn't really make much of a difference. It's not going to change his approach or anything like that. He's going to have the occasional night. We saw the uptick in production leading up to the All-Star break, but you're welcoming back Pella Larson. You're welcoming back Tyler Hero. You're changing the rotation around. There are going to be guys who are going to be asked and capable of carrying an extra load offensively, and that takes away from what his level of production is going to be. But that being said, I think he's still finding a functional role in this offense where he can generate things for others. And that, you know what, as long as that continues to work and flourish, why not take it for what it is, knowing that at least you have the potential for him to break out and be a little bit more productive if things start to bog down. It's kind of playing with fire to a certain degree because I like the idea of having a go-to player that you can count on in those situations. He's not Jimmy Butler. For years, I said Jimmy was second perhaps to LeBron James in being able to recognize what a game needed from him, where it was more of an assist guy or a defensive-minded guy or just taking on the brunt offensively. Bam isn't that. I'd like Bam to develop that point where he could say, you know what, I recognize that they're shutting down everything else and it's a little less playmaking. I've got to be able to be the guy who can score offensively, and you hope that he's capable of it. I don't know if that's realistic, but that's where I'm kind of leaning with this is that, you know what, right now his role is fine. And the hope is, however futile it might be, that he recognizes an in-game situation where he's asked or needed to be more of a scorer and he can take that on.
Yeah, and look, we talk about the importance of star players all the time, and we talk about the points that they score and all these things. The biggest thing that a star player gets you other than the production is the ability to create advantages. And Bam didn't have all-star production or superstar production against Memphis, but he was creating an advantage every time he touched the ball in the post. When they were sending those early doubles, Memphis clearly decided, we're not going to let Bam beat us. We're going to get the ball out of his hands. And he made the right play over and over and over again, and it set up a really explosive night for the Heat offensively. And I think in that sense, he was playing like a star. He was doing the thing where he said, this is what the offense needs from me, and reading the floor and reading the game and saying, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, they're going to play me like this. This is how to best help my team win. Let's do it. Let's talk about Pat.
Yeah.
This question comes from Sam. Reflecting on Pat Riley being honored with his statue at the Lakers Stadium, he has certainly had a storied career. When the day comes when he chooses to retire, what's the plan for the Heat? Who will assume his position, and what other shakeups to the franchise might occur? We'll talk about that part of the question here in a second, David, but let's start with Pat Riley getting a statue in the middle of the season, flying to LA to be there for this game, for the Lakers game, same night that the Heat had, for a Sunday night game. Heat didn't play. But gets a statue in front of whatever they call it now, Staples, Crypto, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. I'm not sure why. It's just Pat's been a part of this organization for much longer than he has with the Lakers, even dating back to his playing days. Like, obviously, he was a player for some years with the Lakers, and then he was an assistant coach. And for anybody who hasn't seen Winning Time or read Jeff Pearlman's book, those are both interesting to kind of show what Riley's evolution was like within the context of Los Angeles and the Lakers and everything else like that, and taking over the team and taking what was a very fast-paced offense and then imbuing it with his own Schenectady iron tough roots, where he just brought a little bit more. They weren't just showtime. They were also willing to kind of punch you in the face and do things. Like they were not great defensively, but they needed to find a balance, and they had some incredible Hall of Fame level talent there, obviously, as well. So you can't win without it. But it's just kind of strange to kind of honor him now after they kind of ran him out in 1990 or 89. I can't remember exactly what year it was. It was like they basically said, look, Magic doesn't want to play for you. We're kind of making our choice the same way they did eventually between Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and forced Riley out. And then they're kind of saying, you know what? We really did like that decade you were the head coach here. We kind of want to show it by putting a statue. And I know part of it is also the fact that Riley with the Lakers was so iconic. Like, I think it's the imagery of Pat Riley almost that it surpasses the level of his actual coaching ability and what he was able to accomplish. And he did accomplish a hell of a lot.
4 championships.
You can't take that away, dude. Like, I get it. But Phil Jackson won more as head coach of the Lakers and Bulls, but he was not nearly as iconic as Pat Riley. Like, Pat Riley defined what a coach was in terms of just the imagery for as long as I can remember. Prowling the sidelines in the Armani suits, he was an image unto himself in a way that I don't know any coach has been before or since. Like, there's no coach now that kind of even comes close to that. Pat Riley drew the cameras as much as Magic Johnson, James Worthy, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar did. And, it was just, he was something that you looked at and you saw there, and he was, a powerful figure along those sidelines. And so I get that he's part of this incredible era of Showtime basketball with the Los Angeles Lakers, where you're doing a lot of cocaine at the Forum and winning a lot on the court, and then going out and partying with all these different 80s music stars and everything else. Like, it was a hell of a time in Los Angeles.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And Pat Riley was a part of that. Like, I mean, the fact that I think there was a movie, Tequila Sunrise, that came out a long time ago. I'm not sure how many of our listeners actually know it, but like, they wanted Pat for that role and said they got Kurt Russell to play Pat Riley light, like very light. But, it was just funny how he was that kind of an image, and so to put a statue there, I understand it, but it just, something about it just feels off.
Is it because he's still active within another, like, he's in charge of the Miami Heat, like he's active with another team and they're giving him a statue while he's still active, even though he's,
we do this with jerseys all the time. We close your eyes and picture what jersey is the best one, or what player you picture in the jersey.
Yeah.
Why not with the Heat? When you close your eyes and picture Pat Riley, is it this Pat? Is it Pat with the Knicks, or is it Pat with the Lakers?
It's the Lakers. Yeah.
All right.
It's the prowling the sideline at the Forum, the Armani suits, the slick back hair. It is, man. Now, I think that's also a really good, interesting question generationally. Like, for our longer, like in the comments, people watching live, like, when you think of Pat Riley, like those images, like, I don't remember Pat Riley coaching the 80s. I wasn't alive, but those are the images that are stuck in my head.
Yeah.
You know, and so I am curious, like people that like think about Pat Riley and you close your eyes and do the thing. Do you think about Pat Riley prowling the sideline, slick back hair, Armani blazers, and doing that, or do you think about Pat Riley, looking
Sleepy
on
Pat.
from this version of Pat Riley in Miami, like
Yeah.
or even the early 2000s when he was coaching, maybe the 2006 Pat Riley who coached that championship team. Maybe that's who you think of. I think there's no wrong answer here. Maybe
Right.
other than maybe Knicks Pat Riley.
But even that was like part of it too. Like,
It
I
was.
mean, he transitioned pretty well from being
Mhm.
this really slick image and he took the slickness with him. But what were those Knicks teams? I mean, they were brutal and
Yeah.
tough and really found a way to just punch everybody and get away with it. And he took that and carried it. Like the Heat and Knicks rivalry existed because of Pat, because he recreated what he had in New York in Miami. He was like, oh, I had a Patrick Ewing. I'll make an Alonzo Mourning and kind of get that and take it to that next level. So I don't know. Like these were three different phases, and he's been an essential part of all three of them. And it's just kind of tough. I don't know. Like in my mind, I did watch him with the Lakers. I did
Mhm.
see him. Like I wasn't much of a basketball fan at that point in time, nor did I recognize the cultural significance of Pat Riley at those point in time. But I don't know. To me, I think it's this newer version of him, like the guy that coached the Heat later in the day, maybe even an extension of the guy who coached the Knicks too, rather than the guy who was just there. Like Showtime, Pat was part of it, and he was certainly the figurehead for it. But God damn it, you had Magic Johnson and Kareem
Well,
Abdul-Jabbar.
can I
Like,
flip it a little bit because you did
sure,
the close your eyes thing and everything, and I do think that is Los Angeles Pat Riley. But what organization is Pat Riley, and what organization does Pat Riley belong to the most? I don't think there's any question that it's the Miami Heat.
that's right. That's right.
And so we could just sort of frame the question two different ways. Yes, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat are synonymous. They are the same. And I do think that brings up an interesting question. Back to Sam's question here. What's the plan for Pat Riley? Not only in honoring him, but in terms of the succession. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode of Locked On Heat is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is simple to play. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if your picks are right, you can cash in. Shoot your shot on Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every diamond, every board that much more exciting. It's America's #1 app for sports picks for a reason. You can choose from basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, UFC, more. Plus, they've got features like early payouts and flex play, so you've got options while the games are still happening. I downloaded the app. I was surprised by how easy it was to get started. It took just a couple of minutes to build my first lineup, and I've been making NBA lineups around players I already follow, picking more or less on points, assists, and honestly, it makes every possession way more fun to watch. I love the social feature where you can see what other people are playing and copy lineups with one click. It's a cool way to learn more and build better picks. And it's available in all 50 states, so it's easy for just about anybody to jump in. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's talk about the succession plan here.
Yeah.
Or the plan, well, before we do that, how you honor Pat Riley. So first of all, they've already named the court after the guy in Miami. It's Pat Riley Court. Now, I don't think you stop there. I do think Pat Riley gets a statue. I don't know where. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what it is. But I do think the next statue in Miami is of Pat Riley. I think, and we will be at a place where we have a statue of Dwayne Wade and we have a statue of Pat Riley outside of the arena. What do you think?
It's an interesting question. Part of me agrees with you, and I think that he's certainly defined the organization. Like, yes, Dwayne is by far its greatest figure. Like, I think the most essential player ever to wear a Heat jersey. I don't think there's any questioning that. But Pat transformed this organization in a way that, I mean, again, from a lot of older or younger fans, you might not remember this, but the years in between 89 and 95 when Pat joined, those were really floundering years where you had no idea what this team was like, from an expansion group to kind of feisty to all the different coaches that they had there, and no real player that defined it, like Glenn Rice, Steve Smith, big parts of the organization, but nobody you can kind of look to and be like, okay, that's the team, and that's the player that defines that team. When Pat came in 1995, he defined the team more so, in my opinion, than Alonzo Mourning, in the sense that he was still a part of the organization, still coaching after Alonzo left, and then when Alonzo came back, to be able to guide that team to the 2006 NBA Finals, like that was as big a part of it as anything else. And so, I think he does deserve a statue, but I also think what we've seen from him of late is that he doesn't want that kind of credit, and he's more about just, you know what, I do my work here, and it's not about getting recognized that way. It's about recognizing the players. So I wonder if he'd even want one in Miami. And I think honoring him with the court where he did his work with Miami between there and on the phone, I think that would be enough for him. So I don't know if he'll get a statue in Miami.
Well, it's not up to him.
Right? You know, who is it up to? Is it Arison?
The organization. It's up to the Arisons. Yeah, I think it's up to the Arisons and the organization as a whole. And if we know one thing about the Miami Heat, they love to throw an event for some reason, and they're going to
lose the game.
The Miami Heat invented the tribute video. No teams did tribute videos until the Miami Heat. They love to throw a party for any kind of reason. So I 100% believe that there will be something, and there will be a statue of Pat Riley. And I'll say it again, I think it will be the next statue. I don't think you'll have another statue between Dwayne Wade and Pat Riley. I think that's the next one.
Giannis?
No, I think it'll be Pat Riley next. And then maybe we get to a place where you put one of UD, but I think it'll be Riley.
Now, is it Pat Riley coaching, or is it Pat Riley like at his desk?
It has to be the coach, right? Like they call him coach. It's got to be the coach. I think it's the iconic photo of him. Now, you could do the one where, like, how many photos have we seen of him just sort of like peering over the court and kind of just judging? Like, could you just put Pat Riley on the top of the arena, just like peering over Miami, just judging all of us and scheming?
Like a gargoyle or something? Like, I mean, that would be kind
like a gargoyle.
Is he scaring off losing demons? Yes. I don't know.
I love that. Weird. That's right. No, I think it's got to be the one in the 2006 NBA Finals locker room, right, where he's standing in the middle of the locker room with his
15 strong.
Yeah, 15 strong. I think it's got to be that one, or him hoisting. You know, he's got that. That's the other iconic photo of him hoisting the championship trophy in 2006, Miami's first championship. It's got to be one of those.
No, I think it's hands at his hips. I think it's hands at his hips, the coat pulled back there. I think that's Pat Riley. What do they call it? The Superman pose.
So they go that, and instead of LA, they had him with like his hand up, like celebrating. Miami's like, enough with your celebrations and your glitz and your glamour.
Get back to work.
We're rolling. Yeah, we're rolling our sleeves up, and he's going back to coaching here. Iconic. Yeah, I think either one. I think all of that. I think that all works. In terms of the succession plan, first of all, I don't know that anybody takes his spot. They might just eliminate his position when he leaves. Yeah. And we've already started to see a little bit of what it's going to look like, right? You have now sort of a head of the table of Pat Riley, Nick Arison, Andy Ellisberg, Adam Simon, Erik Spoelstra. I think Riley retires from that table, and it's that group still in charge. And we can, play semantics with titles, and everybody will get a title bump and whatever. Maybe somebody is sort of the president of basketball operations or whatever. Nobody will be Pat Riley. Nobody will have the title of Godfather anymore, right? Nobody's going to have that kind of figure. Who does the end of season press conferences, all that kind of stuff. Again, that'll be up to whatever interpretations of the new titles that you have. I have my own guesses, educated guesses, but I don't know that we necessarily need to go in that direction right now. But I think it'll just essentially be those people stepping up, and then maybe there may be room for another, seat at that table, whether it's Alonzo Mourning or Ruth Riley Hunter or somebody like that, to maybe get a little bit of a louder voice at that point if they want to kind of diversify things a little bit and change things up.
Do you bring James Jones back and take him away from the NBA league offices and have him become an executive?
That's a great call. That's sort of the route that those guys go, right? They spend a little time at the league office in New York, and then they get back to a team level thing. I like that.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. And then there's the big question. Does Erik Spoelstra move into that job? Ooh. My sense right now is that that's not something that Spo is interested in, but things can change. But right now, Spo is not middle management, man. That guy is your direct report in the trenches with you. Like that, Spo's a coach. He's not a general manager. Not right now. I don't see that. being interesting to him.
What was the difference between him and Brad Stevens? Because Stevens has made that transition seem
I would say Brad
exceedingly
Stevens
well.
was more of a general manager than a head coach, right? I think Brad Stevens,
But he was
like
good
that
as a
big
head
picture.
coach.
He was all right. I think he was overrated, but he wasn't bad.
What, you didn't like the ATO calls? I mean,
No, guy draws great ATOs. He's the best coach in the league. I'm like, there's so much more to coaching than one ATO
you
per
always
game.
hated that. I was just using that to
I know.
trigger you a little bit.
It worked.
I know how
You've
you
been
hate
doing
it.
the show too long. Anyway, he was all right as a coach, but I think he was always sort of big picture. Like he would come from college, recruiting stuff. I think he was
Sure.
more interesting in sort of the team building thing, a part of it.
I don't think Spo cares.
No.
Give me
he wants to coach.
10 of any people out there. I'll
Yes.
make a team out of it.
He's like, Locked On Podcast Network, you are my team now. Like, I'll figure out. I'm gonna figure out the right offense to work. It probably won't be leading the league in pace, but we'll figure something out there. I think we have one more question here that I want to get to. I think I closed out my document, but here it is. Okay. Cody writes in many ways, I absolutely love this team and the youth movement that they have. A lot of the young guys are solidifying themselves, and I'd love to see where it goes and build that way rather than star hunting, as they've failed us so often. Is there any chance free agent star signings could come our way? This is interesting, David, and maybe this is a topic for a whole other show. So maybe we do the short version of this. And the short answer is yes. And I do think that this team is planning, maybe not solely for, but certainly planning to be potentially a part of the free agency of 2027. And if you can't trade for a star before then, and it has to be the right one to give up all these assets and these young players that the organization itself feels really good about and has shown an unwillingness to part with in certain deals, I think you just play for the summer of 2027. And that's a free agent class that includes, unless these guys sign extensions beforehand, obviously, Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Karl-Anthony Towns, Giannis, right? Could potentially, would it shock anybody if Giannis just said, I'll wait until 2027 to make my... No, the amount that guy flip-flops. I don't think it would shock anybody if he kicked that can down the road. Obviously, all these players can sign extensions and take themselves off this board, but right now, these are the guys that project to be in that 2027 class, and the Heat will have max space and enough to sign one of those guys.
Yeah, we'll see. I think we've talked about it before. The free agency thing is less of a factor than it once was, especially when it comes to superstars, because they can get more money elsewhere. But I do think a lot of it kind of hinges. Like, I think the question is about, with this youth movement being what it is, are you positioning yourselves where free agents are like, I like what they've got going on in Miami? And I don't know that NBA players necessarily see it that way. And I think a lot of it is more based on, and you've talked about this point before, it's like, I don't care what that team is because I know I'm going to be the team. I'm going to be the guy who changes all that. But I think they also want to see a team that can thrive in the offseason in a way that the Dame Lillard conversation really happened because of his existing relationship with Bam Adebayo, but moreover because that was a team that went to the finals. And there's like, you know what? I'm going to put that team over the hump. I love what they just did, and I can go and add to that group. What is this team really about? Like, we haven't seen what they are. They're a collection of really good players, some young and some not so young. And then we haven't seen if they're capable enough in the postseason where a superstar is like, yeah, that's the right fit for me. And I think there's a lot of sour taste still from the Jimmy Butler situation and from things that have just been kind of rumoring around the league for a long time. And you see a lot of former players say, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that organization. I don't like the way they do things, etc. There are some players who feel that way. That's legitimate. And look, Spo, who is in the trenches and talks to all these players everywhere, he says it all the time. We are not for everybody. So you have to have the right player, a superstar of among a handful of superstars, really, to say, you know what? I do like what they have in Miami, and I do think I can add to that, and I'm curious about it, and I want to join that team. So it just, when you look at it from that perspective, it just seems like the numbers get smaller and smaller and smaller. And I thought at one point that Giannis would be that guy, but I'm completely out on that. I don't think he'll ever come to Miami. I really think that this, endless flirting with maybe, maybe not. Did I say it? Did I not? I would never say it, but would I? That kind of BS. Like seriously, I don't think he's a Heat guy anymore. Like, as good as he is on the floor, that kind of wishy-washiness is something that the Heat is like, you know what, come here or don't, crap or get off the pot, as they say. And he's just rather just kind of flirt around and just be like, oh, I'm sort of interested, but not really. And that, I think, is just more of a turnoff for the organization. Would they still want somebody that talented? Obviously they would, but I don't know. I listen, I don't think it's realistic, and I'm not really putting that out there. I think if there's a player in the league right now that would love to be in Miami, I really think it's Anthony Edwards. And I'm not saying he's ever going to leave Minnesota, and we're already hearing buzz about him wanting to join Atlanta and stuff like that. So I don't think, but among the superstars and a guy who would fit what Miami's looking at and would want to be, a guy who kind of carries the torch here in Miami, I think it's Ant. I don't know anybody else. I don't even think it's Luka. Maybe Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell would be the other one, right? If he just says, you know what, Utah, Cleveland, it's been real. I'm going to a big market. I'm going to a team where I know somebody, bam, where I spend a lot of my off seasons and a lot of my time.
But Brunson feels like that guy too. But right now, like, New York is his, like, in a way that even more so than Pat Ewing, which is weird. But like, New York belongs 100%. To him. Like, I don't know why would he ever leave that, right?
Brunson.
Yeah, Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I'm talking about Donovan Mitchell.
No, I know. I'm just saying another guy.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm
just looking at the superstars of the league, like top 20-ish players. Like,
I don't think Brunson leaves New York. Why would he ever leave New York? He's part of the organization. It's a family affair. He'll stay in New York. Ant, I think, is obviously the guy that a lot of teams would like. I still have my doubts that he will ever leave Minnesota. They keep winning. Like, why? At this point. Yeah. And it's becoming his city in a way that it hasn't felt like anybody's city since Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
So. But no, I think I would in terms of 2027. I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell, right? And maybe I am looking at Giannis a little bit more than you are. I don't know, but we'll see. The key part there though is why would you want to come to Miami? And that goes back to the first part of Cody's question. He likes the youth movement. Any star in 2027 as a free agent deciding to sign with the Miami Heat, that would be part of it, right? Is the youth has popped over the next year and a half. To the point where a star player looks at himself and says, that's a roster that I want to be a part of, that I think I could be the finishing piece of, right? Because they have guys like Jaime and Kel'el and Jonas and Pelle Larsson and all these guys who are really good young players who I feel drawn to for whatever reason. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning in today to Locked On Heat. Thanks especially to everybody who tuned in live and watched a full hour of podcasting here on a Monday morning. This was a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe, follow Locked On Heat so you get all the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free, plus members-only Discord access and more. Head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to join the club.